Hello and welcome to chapter 108 of the last Thoughts of a Busy Mind. Last week I recorded the chapter way too late. This time I'm recording it in the usual time when I record these episodes. I'm recording this at 3:30 a.m. on Friday. So yeah, this one is titled Taskmaster, and it is about the British show, and I will get to it very shortly after talking about our drink, which is juice, if you can believe it. It's blood orange juice, which might surprise you, tastes exactly like orange juice, but bloodier. And for some reason, not for some reason, I like doing it. I have a pack of frozen berries and I drop them into the glass that I have juice in. Mm. They make no difference to the taste. They basically like ice. And it is incredibly weird because the juice has turned into kind of a slushy, so amazing effects to anyone who cares. Anyways, um, back in the day, back in the early seasons, I used to talk about like weird obsessions that I had. Like I talked about Settlers, and I talked about Dave Allen at Large, which were these events in my life where I got obsessed with a media property very quickly for a long period of time, and that consumed my life for a while. As I got on and I made this into more of a weekly recap, I tend to do that less, but now I want to go back to the classics a little bit, and I want to talk about Taskmaster because one of the things for the past 7 months that has been dominated my life is Taskmaster, and in general, British panel shows, game shows, just comedians, British comedians being British comedians. And I'm going to take you on a little bit of a journey. And that starts with the comedian and honestly kind of YouTuber, Alistair Beckett King. He made that incredible video. If you haven't seen it, let me write it that I will put a link to it down in the description. I'm just gonna write ABK. Go and check his channel. He made this video every Scandinavian crime show, which was an amazing video, and I got sort of, I loved his material. I love his sense of humor. I love his references. I love his niche, and it's amazing. Now, Alistair Beckett King, I subscribed to his channel, did a couple of community posts about being on this show called Mock the Week. Because of him, I started, looking into Mock the Week. I had no idea what it was at that time. And I started watching it, and then I got into the compilations. And as I was watching it, it was literally the last season. Mock the Week ended last year in 2022, and I was watching it like the next season that was gonna start was supposed to be the last one. I started watching it at that point. I was watching the compilations of scenes we'd like to see. This will make no sense to you if you are not attuned to what I'm talking about, if you don't know. But in general, Mock the Week is a panel show where a British comedian comes in and talk about news of the week and make fun of them, and they have a segment called Scenes We'd Like to See where the host, Dara O'Brien, just throws at the topic, and these comedians come and do a little bit on them, and I do mean little, like a couple of seconds long. It's funny. I do recommend checking the compilations out and or watching some episodes if you have the time. Like, see the lineup that you like and go in it. It's usually not too bad. I started watching that, and Dara O'Brien was in it, and I liked Dara O'Brien. I really enjoyed his energy, and so I started to see what else was he on. At that time, Series 14 of Taskmaster had just started, I think like perhaps an episode had come out. So while I was searching for Dara Ubin, I saw Taskmaster, and I saw that it had Greg Davies, which at that time I only kind of knew from the In-Betweeners, which I had seen quite a few years ago with the recommendation from my friend. And aside from that, I had no idea. I didn't know who Alex Horne was, which will become very important later. And so I started to see, oh, apparently Dara O'Brien is in this show. Now I had no idea what Taskmaster was. So I started watching. I started series one. I'm saying series because it's a British show. It's season one, episode one. And okay, a little summary for those of you who have no idea what Taskmaster is. The Taskmaster is, a show where five British, and sometimes there are from other nationalities as well, generally five comedians do tasks, and I do mean just tasks. They can be physical tasks, performative tasks, tasks that require a lot of thinking and like ingenuity. They can be as simple as, I don't know, eat the most amount of food in a minute, to something as like non-descriptive as do the most amazing thing with this water cooler. And those of you who have watched Taskmaster probably know what I mean. God, I'm such a geek and I fucking love it. And they can be like, find the most apples, and there is a like a clue on some place. It's basically just a bunch of challenges that you're supposed to do as the comedian. Now, the Taskmaster himself in the show is Greg Davies, the Welsh giant that I am deeply in love with. There will be a lot of me geeking out over specific comedians. Just get used to it. And his assistant, which is the brain behind the Taskmaster series as a whole, like in a meta sense, is Alex Horne. I had no idea who Alex Horne was. I had no idea about his band, The Horne Section. I have become more familiar with them because of another thing that I will talk about. But Taskmaster, I started watching Series 1, Episode 1. I think I can remember the lineup. I think it was Frank Skinner, Josh Widdicombe, Ramesh Ranganathan, Roshin Kanati, and who else was on season one? Tim Key. Tim Key was on season one. All of them were in season one, and I remember watching it thinking, yeah, it's fun. But then came the watermelon task. Now, the task was very simple. I'm just gonna spoil it here. I'm sorry. It's the first episode of the first season out of the right now 15, because the season 15 had started last week. I watched it, by the way, while I was in Tabriz. I watched it. I will talk about it in a little bit. But it came to the watermelon task. The task was eat as much watermelon as you can in 30 seconds. Now, the watermelon was a whole watermelon on a table. Now, people came in, they tear into it, they break it on a table and started eating it. And Ramesh Ranganathan came in, picked up the watermelon, and threw it on the ground. The watermelon was splintered into a fucking 1,000 pieces, and he had to crawl on his hands and knees and eat them. In his defense, he said, I didn't know watermelon was that soft. But I started laughing. Barely laughed. Dropped myself on the floor and started like just bellowing out laughter. And I loved it. Since then, I've been hooked. And I do mean hooked. I've watched this show. Some seasons, I watched multiple times. I just love it. I love the dynamics. I love the jokes. I love the stupid little puns that Greg Davies makes. I love the unfairness of some of them. And I do have my favorite, not that anyone probably asks, unless you do no Taskmaster, and I'm a fan of it. My favorite season, my favorite series is Series 7. The lineup was James Acaster, which I already knew, love him. Jessica Knappert, I didn't know who she was, loved her after this season. Kerry Godliman, didn't know who she was, again, loved her after this season. Phil Wang, didn't know who he was, loved him, especially his outfit choice. And of course, my new love, another Welsh giant. No, he's not a giant, he's actually not that big physically. Rod Gilbert, I love him. And the way he interacted with Greg was so good. Because up until that point, there were seasons where Alex's friends were on. Like season 4 had Mark Watson, which has one of the best tasks assigned to him. I'm not gonna say too much other than texts. Just go and watch it. Um, but this time it was Taskmaster himself who had a friend on. And the dynamic between Rod Gilbert and, oh, I dropped my pen. Rod Gilbert and Greg Davies was fantastic. The way Rod constantly teased him, I fucking loved it. And there were other, like I loved season 4. I love Nish Kumar. I loved season 2. Because I mean, come on, it's Joe Wilkinson. Joe fucking Wilkinson. I love Joe Wilkinson. I love him more now than when I watched season 2 because of something that I will get to. But yeah, I started watching season 1 at the same time. Because I wanted to see Dara O'Brien, I started watching season 14. And I sort of went through it. Like, I wasn't the biggest fan of season 5. I didn't love it. But I was thinking, I know. Season 14 got me. The lineup was, as I said, Dara O'Brien, Sarah Millican, Munia Chihuahua. Who else? John Kearns and Fern Brady. So I knew that by that it would become good, so I was keeping on with it. And I loved it. As I said, I watched season 7 like a couple of times. I watched season 4 a couple of times. I haven't watched all of season 2, but most of season 2 a couple of times. I loved season 13. I loved season 14, as I said. So in general, I had a lot of fun with Taskmaster, and that became a big obsession. And because at that time, I wasn't feeling very well. If you don't know why, go and check out the last season, season 7, with the theme of living under oppression. But I wasn't feeling very well, and I couldn't watch a lot of movies. I didn't have it in me to watch a lot of TV shows either. Generally, I didn't have it in me to watch fiction and like dedicate my mind into keeping information, retaining information. I'm gonna sneeze. Sorry, seasonal allergies. Um, to retaining information and formulating my own thoughts, basically. And Taskmaster is that great blend of a funny, fun, light-hearted, and at the same time not too dumbed down. Like it's fun, but it's not like trash in a sense. So it was a good, basically right time, right place. I just had it in my mind that I needed to watch it, and I just kept watching it. Now, season 14 ended. I loved season 14, and my man, a little bit of a spoiler, my man won. There will be one. And it was incredibly fun. And season 15 started last week. I will get to it at the end because after Taskmaster, I became in a sort of enamored with the world of British comedy shows, panel comedy shows. Like I started watching a few of the Big Fat Quiz of the Year that was on the YouTube channel. I watched those, and then through that, I had seen like clips of it pop up on YouTube because YouTube is stealing my data and knows that I was watching Taskmaster and showed me a lot of Taskmaster videos. And after that, it just recommended a lot of British comedy stuff. I don't know what they've done with the YouTube algorithm, by the way. I think they hadn't improved it in any form. There is something different there. not in a good way. But I got familiar with 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown. For the past month and a half, I started watching it at like February 8th. I've been like, yeah, literally 2 months. The past 2 months, my life has been nothing but 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown. I watched all. I'm right now. I'm on the 23rd season. I've watched everything. I've watched the election special, the Christmas specials, like everything that has to do with the 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown, and that's where my love of Joe Wilkinson comes in. Joe Wilkinson's brand of comedy is definitely my own brand of comedy. It's just incredible, self-deprecating, and fucking weird, and incredibly distant and dry. I fucking love him. And like I managed to see a lot of different British comedians, and including Alex Horne and the Horne section a lot in 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown. I got emotional, even though I knew it was coming. When I saw Sean Locke's last appearance on 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown, I got emotional. Now, I won't talk about that show a lot because I have no idea how to explain it unless you see it, and I want to focus more on Taskmaster, which 15th season started last week. This new episode that will come out today, I haven't obviously seen, but let me give you my impression of the first episode. Now, when I heard the new season was coming out, well, of course, I went and saw who the what do you say it? Who the contestants are. I'm trying to find the lineup because okay, I went and saw it. Frankie Boyle was on there. I knew Frankie Boyle from Mock the Week. He was incredibly big on Mock the Week, and then I don't know what happened there. Ivor Graham, who again I knew from Mock the Week mostly. He was on 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown, I think once, not too much, at least as far as I've seen, or perhaps I don't remember all of them. Jenny Eclair, I don't know her at all. I don't think I am familiar with her work unless she's done something I've seen but I don't remember. Kyle Smith Bino, again, not familiar with his work. And May Martin, again, not familiar. Again, I might be familiar. I might have seen them on other panel shows or other places. They weren't, like, because Kyle Smith Beyond looked familiar to me, so probably Bino, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name, looked familiar to me, so I think I've seen him somewhere, but I just don't remember. I just don't remember. We don't want to talk about Bob Mortimer. I don't know why I did that accent. Anyways, my general thoughts, Frankie Boyle looks incredibly depressed, which I love. It just shows he shows a big disdain for everything, and I love it. So far, again, first episodes are not always the best ones, but so far, it seems like we're getting our dynamics in. Frankie Boyle is probably going to be the fuck up. He's going to be the Joe Wilkinson of this series, and Jenny Claire is going to be the sweetheart who will have the hardest time just understanding why this is happening to her. At least that's what she was in the first episode. Again, weird stuff might happen. John Kearns, I had no strong feeling for in the first episode of series 14. But when it came to I think it's episode 4, when he did that betrayal, that is one of the best moments of Taskmaster for me. Anyways, I wanted to share this obsession. As probably you've heard, I've geeked out massively over this show, and I'm just looking forward to more. I want more Taskmaster. And so yeah, probably will do another episode on it at some point. In the meantime, if you want, send me a voice message on Anchor, and I will play your voice at the beginning of the next episode. You can also, if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, like, and send me a comment. Feedbacks are generally appreciated. I will see you all next week.